Hello everyone, this is Kira's show here, and the part before this, part 6, just got done uploading, and is actually on YouTube now, and someone just asked me to cover, literally right before I started recording this, someone asked me to cover what if Deku had a darkness and light quirk, and it's from RWBY. I remember little about that series. I forgot the name of it, but I know some about that series. I know some about it. But other people have covered a lot of what if Deku had that particular half and half quirk, and I was actually thinking about doing my own version of it, but I didn't want to be seen as someone who imitated another YouTuber who got because they get around over thousands of views for that video. So I've been trying to come up with my own original what ifs and some I think would work very well because I don't want to be a copycat. I appreciate what others do on YouTube. I can appreciate their style and their storytelling behind it, but I don't want to be seen as someone who copies them. Because I think everyone remembers that there was a Jacksepticeye like a guy who dyed his hair and acted like Jacksepticeye, and he was essentially called, like, named like the Copycat Jack or something. I think that everyone knows what I'm talking about because I'm pretty sure there was a Copycat Markiplier also. Anyway, whenever we last left off, Deku and Todoroki had just stepped into the ring. Now, President Mike says that this fight is going to be interesting. Between the number 3 hero, Endeavor's son, and the number 1 hero, Nakomu's sons. Nakomu's son. Nakomu's son. And for those of you wondering, Nakomu or Nakome means hope in Japanese. And a hero that's called Hope and smiles really is essentially the name. That is already too long because this has been almost 3 minutes into the video and I have not gotten onto the fighting. Anyway, President Mike would ask Aizawa, well, these two have very, very similar powers, but they're both different. Care to elaborate on that, Aizawa? Aizawa would say reluctantly that essentially Todoroki and Deku, these two have been friends since childhood. Now, if this fight goes anything like how Inko's and Endeavor's did, this might be interesting. Now, what I mean by that is, before Inko fought All Might in the finals for the Sports Festival, because this would have been during the 3rd year of UA, she would have finally gotten up that high, up to that power. Let's say that she fought Endeavor, beat him, and then fought All Might. And Endeavor would have actually mellowed out because All Might didn't win. He saw All Might as his one goal to beat. But since this is already his 3rd year of UA, he would have just been happy. He would have been happy and settled for number 3. He would still try and be his best, but he wouldn't try and outshine anyone. So he's seen as a friendly hero. As friendly as a hulking mass of muscle that's on fire can be. Anyway. Crap, that's already almost 5 minutes. Okay. Todoroki versus Deku. These two are called... This is called the match... They call this the 2 quirk matchup. And what people mean by that is... People would see Deku hop into the ring, and so would Todoroki. These two are actually smiling while they face off against each other and they're talking. Now, after this would happen, Deku... Oh, crap. Deku would then fire. Well, he would then throw Hakai energy along with fire straight at Todoroki. Now, this Hakai energy looks more... It's another light shade of purple. Todoroki would comment on this and say, hey, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks, so let's see what you finally got. Your your aura feels different, or not aura. Your power is different, but let's still see what we got. Now, as they are fighting, Deku is still throwing fire at him, and he's even throwing it out of his feet just to get up in the air away from his ice. Now, Deku would then begin firing and just throwing as much as he can at Todoroki's ice because he just keeps blasting it like he would at Zero. But he's doing that all the time. And he's also using his fire to try and keep Deku away from. Well, he's trying to keep Deku out of the air and force him onto the ground so he can freeze him. And because of this, Todoroki is actually not slowing down. And anytime Deku, since Deku would be in the air, anytime Todoroki's ice would go past him, he would immediately destroy it with Hakai energy. And they're going back and forth at it, and everyone's watching as Deku's fire and his aura essentially keeps getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And he would essentially begin almost glowing kind of white with his aura. It's pink, and then a small surrounding piece of it is glowing a bit white. But his fire is actually no. Deku's aura is pink, but it also looks red because it's also his quirk is messing with the energy in his body. Now, Todoroki would say that, come on, Deku, you're only using your fire against me. You know better than that. Come on, didn't you tell me when we were younger to stop holding back? I expected the same thing from you. Now, I know people might be confused, but that speech was toward Deku, not Todoroki. That's Todoroki saying this. Mr. Daddy Issues doesn't have a scar. Or daddy issues. Ow. That hurts my ribs. Anyway, after that, Todoroki and Deku would then begin unleashing Hakai energy and blasting a lot of it at he would blast a lot of it at Todoroki. And as he's doing this, he's actually powering up small little balls of it, and he keeps firing them and firing them. Now Todoroki would keep putting them up in between him. He would put a layer of ice up in between him and his energy. And knowing Deku, he could actually I never really stated this, but with gaining more control over the energy, you can selectively choose what happens to whatever you touch. It could turn to dust. It could be incinerated, as in turn into like a pile of ash. And you could even just have it. He can almost do what his mom did to him and what happened to Frieza with the whole screaming angrily thing and basically tearing someone's body apart, ripping their muscle fibers. So Deku would then begin to blast a lot of these at Todoroki, and one would actually hit Todoroki in the back of his. It would hit him like right around here in the back of his neck, somewhat by his throat. And as soon as this happened, Todoroki would not be able to move his arm up that way. He would try and bring his left arm up to shoot fire, and if that is, yeah, no, his left arm has his fire. He wouldn't be able to do it, so he would then, with his other arm, put a layer of ice on the spot, and then begin fighting again. Everyone's watching this and they're really confused because Deku is essentially holding back against Todoroki, but he's also still fighting him on an equal par. Now, Deku is only using about 30% of his power, which is basically 20% of, well, which is basically like the Nomu's power that attacks the USJ. It's essentially that much. But now, afterward, the original Nomu in canon, he's using that much power and fighting Todoroki, and he would actually begin charging each of these tiny little balls against Todoroki and firing them. And whenever he does fire these don't actually destroy Todoroki, like destroy his entire body. They would just destroy like he would basically destroy like a layer of muscle fibers in his arms, like almost snapping muscle fibers in his body, like a more extreme way that One For All could work on your body. Instead of breaking bones, it would snap the muscle fibers apart, essentially like making it to where you'd have to have that healed before you can even try and flex your arm. So Deku would do that to Todoroki, and he'd actually beat him. Because after Todoroki would try and come in and try and freeze Deku, grab him and freeze him, Deku would have straight up just punched him out of the ring, punching him in the face and knocking him out. Now, that was really close because Deku is actually starting to feel a little bit of the effects of his power, but he'll be fine. It's basically like if he turned on Kaioken. He just feels like he just worked out, which for him would make any normal person pass out. So Todoroki. So Deku is now going over to the semifinals, and he is battling against Toga. Toga is actually fighting with Deku, and she would begin drinking like a lot of different people's blood. Because let's say she actually advanced her quirk to the point where she doesn't need. Well, she can do it, but she has to think about it. But if she thinks about like being herself, she can drink blood with her quirk and actually use their quirk, but not turn into them. So let's say he drank Todoroki's. Uh, let's say he drank a piece of Todoroki's blood, a piece of Mina's, and a piece of oh crap, a piece of Kirishima's blood and Bakugo's blood. Because let's say that they were all told that they should donate some, and they would actually get some extra credit points for this. And Bakugo, he follows the rules. Knowing him, he could get extra credit because he probably would have failed or told someone to piss off and got in trouble for it, getting a minus to his grade, and then donating the blood would actually help improve his grade. I don't know. I don't really know how the whole if you piss someone off or if you do all that to someone, you can lose points in your grade. But let's just say that that is how that scenario worked and how it worked out. So she's using Todoroki's fire. She's essentially trying to create as much stuff as possible and do all this to against Deku. She's using Ida's quirk. She's creating like a giant bar. She's also turning it on fire. She created two, and she's using Ida's quirk. She's essentially trying to go around punching Deku with the bars and doing all this and using speed. She actually would have tried drinking a bit of his blood, but as soon as she did do this, she would have felt a bit more of the effects of Deku's power, of it destroying her body a bit, but she is essentially almost clay, because I don't exactly know how her quirk works very well. I just know that she kind of turns into clay whenever she goes to morph into someone. But let's say that, okay. Let's say that that's how it works. So she would have been feeling these effects, but she wouldn't really pay attention to it. She'd be trying to fight Deku. She'd eventually revert back to her old self. And I mean by, like, she would have had a bit more emphasis on her body with her body hardening and being on fire and being covered in ice, a bunch of stuff like that, and spitting acid, doing a bunch of crazy stuff, and everyone's commenting on this. Then Deku would essentially just knock her out of the ring by giving her a good old neck chop. Alrighty, now, after that, let's say. Okay, now it's Mineta, because he actually took Ayama's place and he beat the Acid Girl. He then beat Tokiyami, with the same kind of trick, but not really. But he would have beat Tokiyami by rushing him really, really fast and actually punching him out of the ring. Because he would have eventually gotten through Dark Shadow by psyching him out by going to go to the left, throwing some slime at him, getting him stuck to the ground, and then dodging over to the right. Now, as soon as this does happen, that he would then punch Dark Shadow or Tokiyami out of the ring. Tetsu's whole thing goes the same. Ochako would have beat Bakugo by increasing the gravity around him to the point where he would have fallen onto the ring and not been able to stand. But because she does train with Deku, and I said Bakugo did try and train with them, but he would always try and overdo it. He didn't really get anything out of the workout. That's why he kind of didn't win against them. He's still stronger, but it's in the negative way, as he just kind of got stronger to try and flex on everyone. Her versus Kirishima, she'd easily get Kirishima out by zero gravitying him, and he would start flying away. Now, Mineta versus Ochako. Mineta, because he is this version of Mineta, just with a ponytail. Yeah, I don't know why I have no obsession with like anime OCs or some certain characters like looking a certain way, because I think they would look better with certain hairstyles. Like imagine Alucard in Helsing a Bridge. If you give him Helsing a Bridge, Helsing Ultimate, if you were to give him a ponytail, because I know as soon as he turned back into Dracula, spoiler alert, he had that weird mustache kind of stubble, and I think he had a ponytail, but his hair was super long. He was pretty badass looking. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. Anyway, Mineta would then rush Ochako, and he'd actually knock her out of the ring. Now, how would he do this? Because she was increasing gravity around him. He would have started glowing a bit, and he would have probably broke a finger by creating a shockwave, sending her out of the ring. Yeah, this would have got crazier, because now Mineta, the number one boy who is toxic in an annoying waste of space and breath, not only has he been drinking his respect woman juice and eating his greens and his veggies and training his quirk better to the point where he actually just repairs his finger by turning it into slime and then reforming it back. Yes, one of the reasons why Mineta got one for all in this series is because he's actually seen by All Might as someone who would make a good hero, and because he saw how since Nana was supposed to give him Nana, he saw since Inko actually prevented him from getting injured very much, that since Mineta can turn his whole entire body into slime, that he could essentially avoid any injury possible. And with his ability to capture any villain with that sticky substance that he can just throw out of his body at any time. Basically, he can like grab someone by the arm and then throw his hand into the wall and actually make his like hand come off and turn into that pink slime and regrow his hand. Because it's basically just like pop off. That's basically still the name of his quirk, but it's called advanced pop off. Anyway, All Might would have done that because Mineta, his quirk basically allows him to never be injured. So yeah, I gave him one for all. I don't care. I mean, I kind of do. Because I was really conflicted with this, and I didn't know what to do. My other idea was giving Kendo one for all, but yeah, big hands and one for all. That would kind of be That would be weird because I don't know how it would actually advance her quirk besides giving her the ability to go giant, and that's why I give her that ability. But yeah, everyone would see as Mineta, the guy from class 1B, broke his finger and actually knocked out a girl who just took out someone who knocked out a girl in class 1A. Now, who is Mineta going to be replacing? Because he's not our Mineta, he's this Mineta. Well, you see, I don't know. Like I said, I made this series up as I go along. Well, I already kicked Zero out, I think. Yeah, I did. Let's yeet Ayama out of the series. I don't like his character a lot. So, good boy Mineta, the Respect Woman Juice Mineta, is our guy now. And he will be in 1A after the sports festival. Because let's say Ayama got out during the race. Yeah, that works actually. He's not very athletic. His quirk, essentially, he uses his quirk to try and run, but he cannot use it without nearly crapping himself. Okay, that works very well. That's actually a really good replacement. Someone to replace with. Why didn't I ever do that before? Note to self: kick Ayama out of 1A and replace with Respect Woman Mineta if you give him one for all. Anyway, I feel like I'm just talking to myself, but I'm not. I'm talking to you guys. Okay, the finale. Deku would have commented on how that was pretty powerful because One for All got weaker after All Might got injured. He could still use its power, but he could use 30% more of One for All now, so he's actually a lot stronger. And since One for All gets stronger with each generation, this One for All that Mineta has would probably give him a 20% boost. Because he's able to use that 30% more, or that 20% more than at 100% than All Might. He's essentially twice as strong as All Might at 100% of his power. But he's never really learned to do full cowling. Now, why did I get... I'm not going to go into that. Actually, I was going to say, why did I give him that? But I just explained it already. Now, then, One for All Mineta versus Hakai Fire Deku. Hakai Fire Deku, that sounds weird to say. But, let's get this going. Anyway, the match would begin and Deku would state that, so, you're the one All Might picked, aren't you? Well, actually, no, they would get in a grip lock, because let's just say they got very close and they started fighting. They're going punch for punch just regularly. Deku's hand would actually seep into Mineta's. Let's say when he punched Mineta in the cheek, his hand actually starts seeping into Mineta's cheek. Because he can actually turn his entire body into slime, like I said. So this makes sense. Then you try hitting Deku with 100% of One for All. As soon as he goes to punch Deku, Deku would have blocked his hand. And the entire shockwave around would have actually left the shockwave would have actually cut into Deku's cheek. But he would have dodged a lot of it. It would create a massive hole in the wall behind him. And then Deku would just say one thing to Mineta after he caught his broken hand. So, All Might picked you, didn't he? Figures. From what I've seen you do, you don't get injured easily. Plus, my mom did take his injury. My mom did take the hit for him, from one of the stories I've heard. Now, their fight will be very long and drawn out. Kind of similar to I almost said Tenya. It would be similar to Deku's and Todoroki's. Oh god. Yay. Afterward, Deku and actually no, Deku and Mineta. Deku would then tell Mineta that he would have tried blasting Mineta with high energy, but Mineta would just keep standing up and keep doing all that. He would try getting Mineta in that ball that Frieza was in, like I said, he would try and do the Todoroki, but it wouldn't work because Todoroki would have known this trick. Deku would try doing that to Mineta. It would work on Mineta, but Mineta would immediately just regenerate from the slime because the slime he would have kept throwing slime around. Now, oh, someone on Discord's messaging me, I think. Anyways, after that, Deku and Mineta. Deku would have told Mineta that if he doesn't bring everything he's got at him, then Mineta's not gonna lose. And he would actually blast the ring. He would actually cover the ring in fire as he powers up. And after he does that, he says that he cannot, if he cannot knock him out of this small ring. Actually, no. You know what? I have an idea for this. This is gonna be perfect. If you guys have ever heard of a knife edge death match, it's beautiful. It's brutal and like hard to watch, but it's from Yu Yu Hakusho and it's beautiful. Like I've never seen a fighting match like that in an anime, and I cannot say I don't think I ever will see one like that again. But essentially, Deku would Deku would have asked Momo for two knives. De- Aizawa would say President Mike would say, "No, Aizawa, he can't do that." President Mike, shh, Mike. Let's just see where this goes. Anyway, Deku would then stab the knives into the ring, draw the circle around them, put his foot behind one after taking off his shoes because he doesn't even have his shirt on anymore. His shirt got destroyed in his match with Todoroki, and the rest of it got destroyed from the shockwaves Mineta kept creating with his punches. Now then, afterward, Deku would then show Mineta exactly how to get on the knife with his foot and tell Mineta that essentially this is going to be a fight to whoever is exhausted first falls. He would then power up his body to the point where like he would be able to suck his energy back in, and this is essentially his full power because he's keeping the energy inside of his body, and doing that would hurt him so much I cannot describe it because he's letting the power flow around him. This time he's letting it flow in him. Now then, Deku would then go to punch Mineta. He would throw a right hook at Mineta's cheek, and the shockwave that follows would just blow away half the stadium. It would blow away the area behind his punch, sending a lot of rubble flying. Now, Inko and a lot of heroes actually have saw this a bit. No, actually, the stadium's reinforced, like I said, so people would have predicted something like this. This would happen, and Deku and Mineta, they're just going punch for punch, shaking the entire stadium. Everyone in 1A is watching this and cheering on Deku, but everyone in 1B is looking on and just trying to like imagine how powerful Mineta actually is because he's never revealed his power. Afterward, essentially, Class 1A is down there. They're basically like behind protective barriers because these actually are there to prevent everyone from getting hurt on the stands. But yeah, because the arena is like very reinforced. Like All Might could probably not destroy it. Anyway, I feel like I have to keep reiterating that because I keep trying to like change the story up with the arena getting in shambles. But now they're going punch for punch, blow for blow. Monoma is trying to cheer on Deku because he just wants someone in 1B to win because it would really ruffle his feathers if Deku won. But they're going punch for punch, and this is shaking the entire arena. Meanwhile, Inko and All Might are sitting on top of the arena, and she's just stating that it was pretty clever to give that boy one for all, Toshinori, but I'm thinking about one thing. Really, Inko? What would that be? Well, you said that he doesn't know how to properly control it, right? Yeah. What about it? He can just repair his limbs with He's essentially made of slime. He can just instantly repair his limbs. No, effortlessly. Yeah, but he still feels pain, doesn't he? Oh, I never really thought about it like that. Now, as soon as All Might would have heard this, Deku and Mineta are just going like essentially their hands have stopped working to the point where, well, Mineta, he kind of he overdid his quirk to the point where he can't really use his hands anymore. Even though they're made of slime, he would essentially still be human. He'd get to a point where he can't turn his body into slime, and he would break his hands and his arms. Now Deku cannot barely even lift his arms, but him and Mineta just keep headbutting after headbutting. Everyone's watching this, trying to cheer them on, but it's just so barbaric. They cannot watch. Ah, this is beautiful to me. It's so beautiful. But now then, whenever they would go in for one final headbutt, Deku would essentially be left standing there, while Mineta, well, they would both start falling, but Deku would catch himself with his leg, and everyone is cheering on both of them, but Mineta would hit the ground first, breaking the entire arena. Now, after this happens, Deku would then, because he cannot even stand, he would just look up and start and just unleash fire from his mouth as hard as he can. It's just going into the air, just symbolizing that he's still there. He is here. He will take his mother's place as the number one hero, and no one can stop him. Anyways, that is going to be Kira Show signing off.